Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For most of you, I think I would probably be a new face because I never make content related to the CSAT examination because I don't have any experience in it. I make content which is catered to the CAT audience, which is students who are preparing for their MBA entrance test exams. But recently I've been reached out to by a senior in the industry who thought that the elimination techniques that I posted for the CAT aspirants for RCs is something that could be applied to the CSAT passages as well. So here I am. Before I delve into the techniques, I'll just give you a little bit of background about myself. I took the CAT in 2020 and I joined IIM Ahmedabad in 2021 and I just graduated in 2023. I had a great CAT score in terms of my VARC at least. And I was able to get that by utilizing the elimination techniques that I'll be talking to you about in this video. The first thing that you need to know and understand is that when you are solving a reading comprehension, it is never about selecting the correct answer. It is always about eliminating the wrong answers. Any passage that is given to you, any paragraph as such, basically has a bunch of options that come after it. Now, the passage is something that already exists. It's been taken from a book, it's been taken from a newspaper article, or it's been taken from an essay that has been posted already. It is the options that are created for the exam that you are writing. So if you're taking the CSAT examination, the options that come in the paper are the ones that your examiners have set for you. So they always set these traps, which I will mention in the video, that you can use to identify what is incorrect about the option. And if you are able to find these so-called traps, you should be able to eliminate at least 50% of the options and then, if required, make an educated guess in the examination. Now at this point, I want to thank my friend Saloni, who has been so helpful in going through all the CSAT papers that have come to date and helping me analyze them as they have come, and finding the topics where we could apply these elimination techniques. Before I jump into them, I would let you know that the credit for finding these elimination techniques goes to Shabana Ma'am. She is an absolute angel. She is a goddess in terms of VARC preparation, and if it weren't for her, I wouldn't know these elimination techniques exist, and I wouldn't have been able to apply them to my own exam and score the way I did. So all credit to Shabana Ma'am for coming up with the techniques. I'm just here to explain them to you and to apply them to the CSAT context so that you are able to use them in your own preparation. Without any further ado, I will move in to the discussion of the elimination techniques. You'll see my screen minimize into the side so that I can refer to my notes and try to explain each of the concepts to you, followed by an example or two from the actual CSAT examination. I've been asked by people to try to incorporate Hindi in my explanations. I will try my best, but I cannot assure you that I'll be successful because it's been a long time since I've shot something that's like completely in Hindi. I can use it in conversational terms, but let's see how well I do. Apologies in advance if you don't understand something. I will try my best to find a way to introduce the Hindi aspects of it, maybe later or maybe in a YouTube live or a Zoom call if need be closer to your examination. But for now, let's just not waste any more time because this introduction has been too long, and let's discuss the elimination techniques. So the first technique that I want to speak to you about is called hasty generalization. Now, hasty generalization means that you take the characteristics or the aspects of a particular person in a particular community and you apply it to the entire community on the whole. What this means, I can explain to you with an example, which is I am Bengali, right? And लोगों को लगता है कि after watching Bhool Bhulaiya maybe that Bengalis know black magic. So a hasty generalization would be for you to say कि सारे बंगाली काला जादू करते हैं, which is not true, right? There might be some people who do know how to use black magic in the Bengali community, but that's not true for all of us. And similarly, there might be some people in other communities as well who know how to do black magic, but I'm sure the entire community doesn't know how to do black magic. So if you take just one aspect like that and apply it to everyone, that's wrong. Another example of this would be to say that लबासना जाने वाले सारे लोग elite colleges से आते हैं. That's not true, right? Even I saw a recent video by someone where they said a lot of their friends in Labasna were from elite colleges, which is true. A lot of their friends could have been from elite colleges, but that does not mean that all of the people in Labasna come from elite colleges. हो सकता है कि कुछ लोग या ज़्यादातर लोग elite colleges से आते हो, पर ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि 100 के 100 लोग जो Labasna जाए वो elite colleges से ही हो. So that's what you mean by hasty generalization. Now, let's look at an example that had come in the CSAT paper. First, I'll show you the paragraph, and then we will discuss the option that came in the paper and why it was wrong. There is a claim that organic farming is inherently safer and healthier. The reality is that because the organic farming industry is still young and not well regulated in India, farmers and consumers alike are not only confused about what products are best for them, but sometimes use products in ways that could harm them as well. For example, since organic fertilizers are difficult to obtain on a large scale in India, farmers often use farmyard manure, which may contain toxic chemicals and heavy metals. Please note, they're using words like farmers often use, मतलब ज़्यादातर farmers या कई बार farmers ऐसे manure use करते हैं जहाँ पे toxic chemicals हो. But this does not mean that all the manure that's being used is always toxic. If you say that, it becomes a hasty generalization. If you say that all the farmers are using this toxic manure, it becomes a hasty generalization. Let's keep reading. Certain plant sprays such as datura flower and leaf spray have an element called atropine. If it is not applied in the right dose, it can act on the nervous system of the consumer. Unfortunately, how much and when to use it are not well researched or regulated issues. The option that they had given is there are no safe organic alternatives to chemical fertilizers. Okay. Now, think of this and look at the word no safe organic alternatives. What have they said in the passage? In the passage, they've said that since organic fertilizers are difficult to obtain on a large scale, मतलब क्योंकि fertilizers को पाना on a large scale, मतलब इतने ज़्यादा organic alternatives को पाना मुश्किल है, they might not find a replacement for it. That means a large amount, बहुत ज़्यादा organic fertilizer alternative ढूंढना मुश्किल है, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist at all. But in the option they have said no is generalizing for the entire Indian market, saying that there is absolutely no organic fertilizer available, which is not something that they have mentioned in the passage. The next way to eliminate an RC option is called an attractive word trap. Now, what happens in an attractive word trap is that they take one word from the passage and they make an entire option out of that. मतलब जब आप इस passage को पढ़ते हो, आपको कुछ words ऐसे jump out करके आपके सामने आएंगे कि थोड़े important sounding words लगेंगे ये आपको, और option में आपको same word ditto लिखा मिलेगा. What that means is that they are trying to trick you, because if you read the actual passage, you will and then look at the option, you will see that they've just used the word ऐसे offhand to impress you. Now, this becomes very important to note, because usually people who take the examination may not have such high vocabulary that the CSAT paper is understandable to them. In that case, I suggest that you take a look at the passage again. आप फिर से passage को देखिए, फिर से option को देखिए. अगर same words use किए हुए हैं, तो आप उसका हिंदी translation देखिए और समझने की कोशिश कीजिए if it's the correct thing and if it means the same thing or not. Let's take an example. Same passage है, जो I've explained already. Let's look at the option that they had given. Organic farming is inherently unsafe for both farmers and consumers. ठीक है. Now, यहाँ पे लिखा है inherent. So the word that makes it attractive is because they have spoken about something that is unsafe, and passage में हम लोग ने already use किया है in ways that could harm them as well. If something can harm you, it means that it can possibly be unsafe for you. So this is an attractive word trap. Because अगर आप इस वर्ड को देखो, इनहेरेंटली मीन्स ये एकदम ऑर्गेनिक चीज यूज करना ही गलत बात है, राइट? एंड दैट इज अ प्रॉब्लम. दे आर नॉट सेइंग इन द पैसेज दैट ऑर्गेनिक fertilizers are unsafe. What they're trying to say is that organic farming is still a young इंडस्ट्री अभी अभी चालू हुआ है, तो लोगों को इसके बारे में नॉलेज नहीं है। और क्योंकि अगर ये नॉलेज को अच्छे से अप्लाई ना करे या इनको समझ ना हो इस बात की, जब वो इस चीज़ को अप्लाई करेंगे उनसे गलतियाँ हो सकती हैं और इन गलतियों के कारण प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट हो सकते हैं। सो दैट इज़ वाई इट कैन कॉज हार्म। दैट डज नॉट मीन कि ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग ही गलत है, बट बिकॉज दे हैव यूज द वर्ड अनसेफ एंड दे हैव यूज द वर्ड हार्मफुल, इट बिकम्स एन अट्रैक्टिव वर्ड ट्रैप. We're done with two options. Let's look at the third option. The third option is called extreme options. इसमें क्या होता है that you take a sentence in which you take any meaning and you take it to the extreme, मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा खींच देते हैं. हमें पता है कि इंडियंस शायद ऑन एवरेज 5-6 के हाइट के नीचे होते हैं, पर अगर हम आज बैठ के बोले ऑल इंडियंस आर शॉर्ट, ये तो एक्सट्रीम हो गया ना. इट्स नॉट ट्रू दैट ऑल इंडियंस आर शॉर्ट. हम में से कुछ लोग हैं जो बहुत लंबे होते हैं. अमिताभ बच्चन 6 फुट प्लस है, दीपिका पादुकोण कितनी लंबी है. सो यू सी इट्स एन एक्सट्रीम ऑप्शन. तो अगर आपको ऐसे ऑप्शन में वर्ड्स दिखे जैसे ऑल, नन, नेवर, ऑलवेज, तो आप समझ जाइए कि देयर इज समथिंग रॉन्ग इन दिस पैसेज और देयर इज समथिंग रॉन्ग इन दिस ऑप्शन बिकॉज दिस इज अ वेरी एक्सट्रीम वर्ड. I have two passages for this, so let's look at both of them. First, in India, the segregation of municipal waste at source is rare. Recycling is mostly with the informal sector. More than 3/4 of the municipal budget goes into collection and transportation, which leaves very little for processing, resource recovery and disposal. ऑप्शन देखने के पहले ही मैं आपको ये बता दूँ, they've said very little. अगर ऑप्शन में कहीं पे लिखा है no, मतलब ऑप्शन गलत है. ठीक है, very little is not equal to no. Where does waste to energy fit into all this? Ideally, it fits in the chain after segregation between wet waste and rest, collection, recycling, and before getting to the landfill. Which technology is most appropriate in converting waste to energy depends on what is the waste, that is biodegradable versus non-biodegradable component, and its calorific value. The biodegradable component of India's municipal solid waste is a little over 50%, and biomethanation offers a major solution for processing this. एक और example, they have said biomethanation is a major solution. It is not the only solution. तो अगर आपको ऑप्शन में दिया हो only solution, गलत होगा. अभी ऑप्शंस देखते हैं. हाँ, see, the option is biomethanation is the most ideal way of generating energy from municipal waste. What did I tell you? It offers a major solution. Major solution मतलब ये नहीं है कि it is the best solution, it is the only solution, इससे अच्छा कुछ नहीं है. That is not what the passage says. They have taken a sentence which says major and they have put it at the extreme. Major का extreme most या best. क्या लिखा है? Most ideal. तो extreme हो गया. Let's look at another example. सेम, ये हमारा ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग वाला एग्जाम्पल है. क्या लिखा है इनका ऑप्शंस में? इन इंडिया ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग शुड नॉट बी प्रमोटेड एज अ सब्सटीट्यूट फॉर कन्वेंशनल फार्मिंग. ये थोड़ा फिर से एक्सट्रीम इन्फ्रेंस हो गया बिकॉज द पैसेज इज यूजिंग अ कॉशनरी टोन. मतलब दे आर ये आपको चेतावनी दे रहे हैं कि थोड़ा संभाल के. इट्स नॉट लाइक दे आर एग्जैजरेटिंग एंड सेइंग कि नहीं भगवान ये करोगे तो तुम मर जाओगे. दैट्स नॉट व्हाट द पैसेज इज सेइंग. सो अगेन यू हैव टेकन अ कॉशनरी या एक चेतावनी और आप इसको एकदम एक्सट्रीम पे ले जाके इसको डरावने वे में एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हो, तो ये एक्सट्रीम हो गया. ठीक है. नाउ द नेक्स्ट एलिमिनेशन टेक्निक इज कॉल्ड आउट ऑफ स्कोप. आउट ऑफ स्कोप बेसिकली मीन्स दैट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट समथिंग एंड देन यू गो ऑफ ऑन अ कम्प्लीटली डिफरेंट टैंजेंट. मतलब हिंदी में बोले तो आप किसी चीज़ के बारे में बात करते करते किसी पैसेज किसी एक चीज़ के बारे में बात कर रहा था और ऑप्शन कहीं और ही चला गया. अगर पैसेज में हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि कैट एग्ज़ाम इस साल 2023 का कैट एग्ज़ाम बहुत डिफ़िकल्ट होगा और आप उसको आउट ऑफ स्कोप ले जाके डिस्कस करने लगे, नहीं इस साल UPSC CSAT का एग्जामिनेशन बहुत मुश्किल होगा, तो ये आउट ऑफ स्कोप है. कैट एक अलग चीज़ है, CSAT एक अलग चीज़ है. पर अगर आप कैट के पैसेज के सामने CSAT का ऑप्शन लगाओगे तो वो आउट ऑफ स्कोप कंसिडर किया जाएगा. लेट्स लुक एट द एग्जाम्पल्स. वीव ऑलरेडी रेड दिस पैसेज, बायोमेथनेशन वाला इसके पहले ही. लेट्स लुक एट द ऑप्शंस. Resource recovery and recycling require technological inputs that can be best handled by private sector enterprises. ठीक है, आपको याद है मैंने क्या पढ़ा? हमने इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर पढ़ा. वी रेड अबाउट द काइंड ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी दैट इज नीडेड. वी स्पोक अबाउट calorific value, biodegradable, non-degradable. Nowhere in the passage was there any mention of private industries. तो ये प्राइवेट इंडस्ट्रीज़ ये कौन सा सेक्टर ये परफॉर्म करे कहीं भी मेंशन नहीं है, तो ये आउट ऑफ स्कोप है। अगर आपको उस पर्टिकुलर चीज़ का कोई लिंक ना मिले पैसेज में, तो आप अज्यूम कर लीजिए कि वो इन 90 केसेस आउट ऑफ 100 गलत होगा। Okay, so the next elimination technique is called no external knowledge. If you read the instructions that are given in the CSAT paper, and I saw it myself, ऊपर लिखा है no, don't use external knowledge or don't go beyond the passage. So what this means is आपको शायद बहुत कुछ पता होगा about this particular topic. Okay, maybe maybe geography is your option. होता है क्या geography option? Let's assume that geography is your optional and it exists. I mean 92 में तो था. अच्छा, okay, anyway. Let's assume that geography is your optional, and you know that the sun rises in the east, so and that the earth rotates west to east. But in the passage they have written that the sun rotates, the earth rotates east to west and the sun rises in the west. If that is what is written in the passage, बस that is true. आप क्वांटम साइंटिस्ट है, ठीक है, आपको क्वांटम फिजिसिस्ट है, आपको क्वांटम डॉट्स के बारे में बहुत कुछ पता है, पर अगर उन्होंने पैसेज में कुछ बेसिक चीज़ लिखी है अबाउट क्वांटम डॉट्स कि क्वांटम डॉट्स कैन बी यूज्ड इन टीवीज बट कैन नॉट बी यूज्ड फॉर मेडिसिन, अज्यूमिंग, हो सकता है आपको पता है, हो सकता है आपने क्वांटम डॉट्स यूज़ किए होंगे मेडिसिन में, पर अगर पैसेज में लिखा है कि नहीं पता, शायद होगा, नहीं करते, then you must go with the assumption कि नहीं करते. All your external knowledge you should save for your actual GS papers, and for CSAT only refer to what is given in the passage. Let's look at the example. Food consumption patterns have changed substantially in India over the past few decades. This has resulted in the disappearance of many nutritious foods such as millets. While food grain production has increased over 5 times since independence, it has not sufficiently addressed the issue of malnutrition. For long, the agriculture sector focused on increasing food production, particularly staples, which led to lower production and consumption of indigenous traditional crops, grains, fruits, and other vegetables, impacting food and nutrition security in the process. Further, intensive monoculture agriculture practices can perpetuate the food and nutrition security problem by degrading the quality of land, water, and food derived through them. ठीक है? Let's look at the options. The option that they had given was, for the present monoculture agriculture practices, farmers receive subsidies in various ways and government offers remunerative prices for grains, and therefore they do not tend to consider crop diversity. ठीक है, हो सकता है कि ये सच है. It is possible that you do get subsidies for monoculture agricultural practices. I don't know, but they have not mentioned anything about subsidies in the passage. So this is actually an application of two things. It is both an application of out of scope, which I mentioned in the previous point, and it is an application of no external knowledge. Maybe you know this. Maybe you are the person who got this subsidy to take place. But since they have not mentioned it, and since you don't know anything about whether they are considering crop diversity or not, if they're offering remunerative prices or not, क्योंकि आपको इस पैसेज में इसके बारे में कुछ नहीं बोला गया है, आप अज्यूम नहीं करोगे कि ऐसा कुछ भी होता है. तो फॉर द सेक ऑफ दिस पैसेज ये ऑप्शन गलत है, बिकॉज हम अपना दिमाग इसमें नहीं लगाएंगे. CSAT में अगर मैथ्स का प्रॉब्लम कर रहे हैं तो अपना दिमाग लगाइए, अगर मैथ्स का प्रॉब्लम नहीं कर रहे हैं, लॉजिक का प्रॉब्लम नहीं कर रहे हैं, अगर इंग्लिश में कुछ कर रहे हैं तो जो लिखा है उसी के अकॉर्डिंग जाइए, क्योंकि इसमें कुछ भी नहीं लिखा है सब्सिडीज, रेम्यूनरेटिव प्राइसेस, क्रॉप डाइवर्सिटी के बारे में. हम कुछ इसके बारे में सोचेंगे ही नहीं, हम पहले से ही इसको क्रॉस आउट करके मूव ऑन करेंगे. ओके, moving on to the next elimination technique. This is called wrong cause effect. इसमें क्या होता है that you take that something is happening for a particular reason but we attribute it to something else entirely. हिंदी में explain करूँ तो we know that अगर कुछ चीज़ किसी एक कारण की वजह से हो रही है पर हम उसको कुछ और ही कारण के साथ जोड़ते हैं, जैसे आप सिविल सर्वेंट बनोगे क्योंकि आपने बहुत पढ़ाई करी है. आप ऐसे तो घर पे बैठ के कुछ नहीं करके तो सिविल सर्वेंट नहीं बन जाओगे ना. तो कॉज है आपने डेडिकेटेड हार्डवर्क के साथ पढ़ाई करी है, इफेक्ट है आप सिविल सर्वेंट बन गए. अगर कोई आके बोल दे आप सिविल सर्वेंट बन गए क्योंकि आपने भगवान का धागा पहना था, तो ये लॉन्ग कॉज इफेक्ट हो जाएगा. हो सकता है कि भगवान की दया से आपके साथ अच्छा हुआ, आपका एग्ज़ाम अच्छा गया, आप पढ़ाई अच्छे से कर सके, पर इसका कॉज इफेक्ट थोड़ा डाइसी है, बिकॉज दैट्स नॉट वाई यू बिकेम अ सिविल सर्वेंट, राइट? सिमिलरली, the sun rises in the east because the earth rotates west to east. Yeah, because the sun rotates west to east. Now if I start, that's the cause and the effect. The cause is the earth rotating west to east, and the effect is the earth seeing the sun rise in the east. Now if I say that the sun rises in the east because Zeus likes to wake up on the right side of the bed, that is a wrong cause effect. Now I'll explain it through what has come in the papers. Let's look at the passage. This is the same passage, food consumption pattern, about the food nutrition and that monoculture wala thing. Let's look at the options. The options was to implement the sustainable development goals and to achieve zero hunger goal, monoculture agriculture practices are inevitable even if they do not address malnutrition. In the passage, neither does the passage promote monoculture, nor does it say that is inevitable, right? It actually goes against this very thing. It says that intensive monoculture agriculture practices can perpetuate the food and nutrition security problem. तो पैसेज में एक्चुअली उल्टा लिखा है. पैसेज में लिखा गया है कि मोनोकल्चर करने से फूड सिक्योरिटी प्रॉब्लम बढ़ सकती है, पर ऑप्शन में ये लोग लिख रहे हैं कि मोनोकल्चर करने से एक्चुअली ये सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल ऑफ ज़ीरो हंगर we'll be able to meet it, as in मोनोकल्चर करेंगे तो ज़ीरो हंगर अचीव कर पाएंगे. पर एक्चुअल पैसेज में उल्टा लिखा है कि मोनोकल्चर करेंगे तो शायद फूड सिक्योरिटी में प्रॉब्लम होगी. सो यू सी कॉज इफेक्ट का कुछ क्लैश है, एकदम उल्टा लिखा है, अनदर ट्रैप. ऐसे करके ये आपको ट्रैप करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. अगेन आई अपोलोजाइज फॉर माई टूटी फूटी हिंदी, आई एम ट्राइंग माई बेस्ट, बट आई होप what I'm saying makes sense. Okay, let's look at the next one for this session. Actually, let's do something. Let us keep this as the last elimination technique for this video, and I will post another video soon with the next 7 elimination techniques so that we can break it up and do it, because I think हिंदी में explain करते करते मैं बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम लगा रही हूँ और ये वीडियो बहुत ज़्यादा लंबा हो जा रहा है. तो ऐसे हम साथ और साथ में करके डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर देते हैं तो आपको भी समझने में ज़्यादा टाइम मिल जाएगा. ठीक है, तो ये लास्ट वाला फॉर टुडे. ओके, द 7th वे ऑफ एलिमिनेटिंग ऑप्शंस इज कॉल्ड वर्ड प्ले, मतलब शब्दों के साथ खेलना. इसमें क्या करते हैं, द एग्जामिनर डिस्टॉर्ट्स द वर्ड्स दैट आर गिवन टू यू. दे प्ले अराउंड विद द वर्ड्स, मतलब वो शब्द को ऐसे तोड़ मरोड़ के कुछ और बना देते हैं सेंटेंस का. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ मे बी द पैसेज सेज समथिंग लाइक द सन वाज शाइनिंग ब्राइटली टुडे. सूरज चमक रहा था. But in the options they have written something like the sun was a gorgeous globe of delicious mango, हनुमान इंस्पायर्ड. ठीक है, एज एन ऑप्शन में लिखा है कि सूरज इतना सुंदर लाल गोला था कि वो आम के जैसे स्वादिष्ट लग रहा था. वर्ड प्ले. उन्होंने कुछ वर्ड्स को घुमा फिरा के कुछ और ही बना दिया. लेट्स लुक एट द passage that I have found for this. To tackle the problem of pollution in cities, policymakers think that drastic actions like temporary use of odd-even number scheme for vehicles, closing schools, factories, construction activities, and banning the use of a certain type of vehicle are a way forward. Even then, the air is not clean. Vehicles more than 15 years old comprise 1% of the total, and taking them off the road will not make any difference. Banning certain fuels and car types arbitrarily is not proper. Diesel engines produce more PM 2.5 and less CO2 than petrol or CNG engines. On the other hand, both diesel and CNG engines produce more NOx than petrol engines. No one has measured the amount of NOx in CNG engines, the amount of NOx that CNG engines are emitting. Arbitrary bans on vehicles that have passed mandated fitness tests and periodic pollution tests are unfair. What is needed is the scientific and reliable information about the source of pollutants and a continuing basis and the technologies that will work to reduce pollution from them. The option that they shared was arbitrary curbs on vehicles to reduce pollution are difficult to implement. Okay? No. The passage suggests that arbitrary curbs on vehicles are pointless, कि they won't work, काम नहीं करेंगे arbitrary, ऐसे arbitrary restrictions. ऐसा नहीं कि वो implementation में difficult है. जैसे policy makers think that drastic actions are policymakers think that drastic actions are a way forward, but even then the air is not clean. मतलब उनको लगता है कि वो ऐसे drastic measures काम करेंगे, पर फिर भी हवा साफ नहीं है. मतलब वो काम नहीं कर रहा है, इनके drastic measures काम नहीं कर रहे. ऐसा नहीं है कि implementation में मुश्किल हो रहा है, right? वो लोग implement करने के बाद भी हवा साफ नहीं कर पा रहे, मतलब वो काम नहीं कर रहे. So again, attractive. This is a word play कि आपने पैसेज में देखा कि वो बोल रहे हैं कि ये लोग अप्लाई कर रहे हैं पर वो काम नहीं कर रहा, पर ऑप्शन में दे हैव यूज कि वो अप्लाई करने में ही मुश्किल हो रही है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट इज डिस्टॉर्शन और दे प्लेड अराउंड विद द वे द वर्ड्स हैव बीन सेड. Okay, I think I will leave it to these 7 elimination techniques for this video and come back to you with the next 7 in another video, because this video has been too long already. I can see that I've been speaking for a long time and अब तक I think आपका concentration भी slip हो रहा होगा, तो I'll maybe post another video soon with the remaining 7 elimination techniques. If you want to practice a little bit more about this, I have also posted another video with the 14 elimination techniques that you can use in the CAT exam with examples from the CAT paper. और मैंने सुना है कि आजकल CSAT पेपर CAT जैसा ही मुश्किल हो रहा है, तो आप अगर CAT लेवल के क्वेश्चंस देखोगे तो आपके लिए अच्छा होगा. I will also try to create some practice questions on this, or I will ask Saloni to create some practice questions about this so that you can also practice in your own free time. Abhi ke liye, take a look at these elimination techniques, open previous year papers. I think that's the holy grail solution I give to everyone, be it CSAT students or CAT students, ZAT students, NMAT students, anyone. There is no better practice than previous year's papers. So take a look at the questions that have come, see if you can use these elimination techniques to cancel out the options that are in the paper, and if you are able to do that, then you'll know that you're on the right track. Abhi ke liye, please make a note of all the elimination techniques I have shared, write them down in your diary, keep it on your desk for the first few days that you practice. You can take a look at the list and see which one you can use for each option, but with practice you'll be able to learn them by heart and be able to apply them without looking at that piece of paper. At least that's the aim. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the notification. Clearly trying to speak Hindi is making me stumble over my own words. What I'm trying to say is, अगर आपको ये वीडियो हेल्पफुल लगा हो तो लाइक, शेयर, सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिएगा, नोटिफिकेशन बेल भी रिंग कर दीजिएगा, और प्लीज़ मुझे कमेंट्स में बताइएगा इफ़ दिस वीडियो हैज़ बिन हेल्पफुल. And I will try to post the next 7 tips as soon as possible. Should I set a target for you? If this video gets, I think my cat video had 45,000 views. If this video gets, chalo, 5,000 views. No, I'm not setting a target. It's quite silly. नहीं, लोगों की मदद करनी चाहिए. ठीक है, there is no target. I hope you have watched this video to the end, so that you have seen me make a fool of myself at this portion. But ठीक है, होता है, सबसे गलतियाँ होती हैं. मेरी हिंदी इतनी ख़राब है, मेरे पापा बहुत गुस्सा करेंगे मेरी हिंदी सुन के, but ठीक है. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful, and I will see you in the next one where we will discuss the remaining 7 elimination tricks for your RCs, which is reading comprehension. Best of luck and see you next time.